Welcome to this course. Before you drift off tonight, let me ask you something you might not have really paused to think about. Why do the moments of happiness in our lives feel so short and fleeting? Why is it that when we buy something new or achieve a small goal or receive good news, we feel a rush of joy, yet soon after, the feeling fades? A few days later, or even just a few hours, we're back in the same place, searching for the next thing that might make us happy again. Science has a name for this: hedonic adaptation. Our brains are wired to treat any reward or pleasure as temporary. At first, they release a surge of dopamine, giving us excitement and euphoria. But after a short while, dopamine levels drop, and the brain resets itself. The result, what once felt like a source of happiness loses its shine, and we begin chasing something new. It's like buying a brand new phone. On the first day, you admire it constantly. A week later, it feels ordinary. A few months in, you're already thinking about replacing it. But if our brains are built this way, does that mean we're doomed never to be truly happy? Thousands of years ago, long before dopamine was discovered, long before psychology had a name, philosophers and sages were asking the same question: what is happiness and how do we live it? The beauty is that what they left us can be connected today with modern science and with the little situations we live every day. Let's start in ancient Greece, where the great questions of philosophy first bloomed. Socrates, the man who left no books yet shaped all of philosophy, famously said, "Know yourself." For him, happiness wasn't found in wealth or status, but in understanding your own true nature. When we live in ways that don't fit who we are, we create inner conflict, even if we appear successful to others. And today, psychology confirms it. Self-awareness is strongly linked with higher wealth. Think about it. Maybe you've stayed in a job you disliked because society sees it as respectable, or because it pays well. You smile on the outside, but inside you feel restless. That's exactly what Socrates meant. To know yourself is to face that truth instead of ignoring it. Ask yourself, what in my life doesn't really feel like me? That simple question can change everything. One small step. But what next? Well, the next step is action. Once you've uncovered your true self, the next step is to live in accordance with it. This is the second lesson from ancient Greece, this time from the great philosopher Aristotle. He believed that happiness is not a passive state, but an active pursuit. Remember his famous quote, "The whole idea of life is to be happy." To be happy means striving to reach eudaimonia, which isn't just pleasure or contentment, but a deep sense of fulfillment and flourishing. So, how do we actually put Aristotle's ideas into practice? Let's look at some key points. Cultivate virtue. For Aristotle, happiness meant living a life of virtue. That means being the best version of yourself and doing what is right, not just for the sake of rules, but because it aligns with your values. This brings a sense of peace and self-respect that is essential for enduring happiness. Practice moderation. Too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. Aristotle believed in finding balance, not just in pleasures, but in all aspects of life. This includes our desires. The secret to happiness, he thought, lies in moderation. Don't be impulsive. Acting hastily without thinking things through can lead to trouble. Instead, take your time to consider the consequences of your actions. This is a habit that will serve you not just in achieving happiness, but in all areas of your life. Be courageous. Life is full of ups and downs. Facing challenges with courage is a sign of strength and resilience. Aristotle believed that overcoming obstacles is a key part of living a virtuous life, and it is also a path to happiness. Live for a purpose. Having a sense of purpose, of working towards something bigger than yourself, was also important for Aristotle. Find something that inspires you, something you care about deeply, and dedicate yourself to it. It could be a cause, a creative pursuit, or anything that gives meaning to your life. These steps aren't just abstract ideas. They can be applied to real-life situations. Take, for example, the situation of someone who feels unhappy in their job. By following Aristotle's advice, they can turn this situation around. What in this job doesn't feel like me? Maybe it's the tasks, the environment, or the mismatch between their skills and the work they're given. Second, action. Leaving the job wouldn't necessarily be the first step. Instead, it could be about changing the attitude towards the job, focusing on the positive aspects, or making small changes within the job to make it more fulfilling. This could be as simple as taking on new tasks that utilize their skills better, or talking to the manager about concerns. If nothing changes, then leaving may be the best option. But by going through this process, a person not only discovers more about themselves, but also how to take charge of their happiness. The great thing about these two philosophies is that they provide a powerful starting point for a much deeper understanding of human nature and the pursuit of happiness. Now let's fast forward to the 20th century and meet Viktor Frankl, a man whose life intersected with the darkest chapters of the 20th century, yet who emerged with an even deeper understanding of the human spirit. Frankl was a Jewish doctor imprisoned in several concentration camps, including Auschwitz, during World War II. He witnessed unimaginable horrors, yet he survived. His story is nothing short of miraculous. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl shares his experiences and introduces his theory of logotherapy, which offers another dimension to our understanding of happiness. So, what did Frankl discover in the depths of human suffering? He found meaning. He realized that even in the most dire circumstances, people who find meaning in their suffering tend to heal faster and often survive. This doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending it's not there. It means facing the reality of the situation, finding a purpose in it, or seeing it as a path to personal growth. Today, Frankl's ideas have been backed up by research. Studies show that having a sense of meaning and purpose in life is crucial for mental health and well-being. It is a strong buffer against stress and helps people cope with trauma. Frankl argued that humans have an innate drive to seek meaning. And while we may not always find explicit meaning in our everyday lives, we can choose to create it. This can come from our relationships, our work, our hobbies, or even our struggles. Frankl didn't say that life would always be easy or happy. Instead, he offered a perspective. He showed us that even in suffering, we can choose to find meaning, and that this choice can be a powerful source of strength and resilience. This idea can be applied in many situations. For example, someone who faces a serious illness can find meaning by turning their experience into a source of knowledge or inspiration for others. They can educate themselves and others about the disease, raise awareness, or even advocate for better treatment options. This process can transform a negative experience into a positive one, leading to greater resilience and well-being. Similarly, someone going through a divorce or the loss of a loved one can find meaning by channeling their grief into something constructive. They can volunteer with a grief support group, helping others who are going through similar experiences. In doing so, they not only help others, but also find a way to cope with their own pain. This concept can be extended to global issues as well. when faced with a challenge like climate change or a global pandemic, people can find meaning by contributing to solutions. Whether it's adopting sustainable practices or volunteering in a crisis, contributing to a greater good can provide a sense of purpose and hope. In essence, Frankl's ideas encourage us to see our experiences, both positive and negative, as opportunities for growth and contribution. They remind us that meaning is not something we find, but something we create. So from ancient Greece to the 20th century, we have seen how different thinkers have contributed to our understanding of happiness. Socrates taught us the importance of self-knowledge. Aristotle showed us the path of virtue and moderation, and Frankl demonstrated the power of finding meaning. Their teachings, though separated by time, form a beautiful tapestry, reminding us that the pursuit of happiness is a journey, not a destination. So, there's all sorts of ways to look at happiness, right? You could study it scientifically, chemically, biologically. You could examine it philosophically, spiritually, existentially. Happiness is not just a term from psychology textbooks. It's one of humanity's deepest questions. Like, why do we seek happiness? Why is joy so fleeting? And how can we live a life that nurtures happiness? Today, I want to share something really interesting with you. I want to talk about 4 neurotransmitters, for chemicals in your brain, and for philosophies that can guide us towards a happier, more meaningful life. These are ancient wisdoms and modern science combined to reveal the secrets of happiness. Here we go. First, let's look at dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Picture this. You get that new video game you wanted, that hit of excitement, that rush of pleasure. That's dopamine. You crush it at work, get that promotion, receive that praise. That's dopamine too. Little victories, little excitements. Dopamine is there. But here's the twist. That high, that euphoria, it fades fast. It doesn't last, does it? You get used to it. You need something newer, something bigger to get that same kick. This is what scientists call hedonic adaptation. Our brains getting accustomed to pleasure. It's like a treadmill, always wanting more, running faster, but never really getting there. Do you find yourself stuck in this loop, chasing dreams, chasing goals, thinking, once I get this, I'll be happy? Well, science says it's not that simple. Remember dopamine, the feel-good chemical that gets old real quick? Well, here's some wisdom from the past. The Greek philosopher Epicurus had something to say about this. He lived around 300 BC, and he was all about enjoying simple pleasures. He said, "It's not what we have, but what we don't have that causes us trouble." Imagine that. More than 2,000 years ago, he was talking about how our constant wanting, our desire for more, that's what truly makes us unhappy. So what's the solution? Well, Epicurus suggested living simply, not always chasing after new things or higher highs. Instead, he encouraged us to find satisfaction in the small, everyday joys. It's a reminder that true happiness might be hiding in those small moments, not in the big chases. But dopamine isn't the only player in our happiness story. There's also serotonin. You know that feeling when you do something right, when you stand up for what you believe in, when you help someone without expecting anything in return. Your chest swells. You feel good about yourself. That's serotonin at work. It's the feel-good chemical that comes from living by your values, doing what you believe in. Now, let's turn to ancient Greece again, to the great philosopher Aristotle. He was all about understanding what makes life good and how to live well. About 2,000 years ago, he said happiness is found in virtue, in being a good person, in living a life of honesty, courage, moderation. Sounds simple, right? Yet it's profound. Imagine that living a life of principles, of kindness, of fairness, that's what brings a deep sense of contentment. That's the gift of serotonin. It's not just about feeling good. It's about feeling grounded in what you believe in. Okay, moving on. We have oxytocin. Think about a warm hug, a heartfelt laugh with friends, or even just a friendly chat. All these moments create a special bond between people. They make you feel connected, cared for, and part of something bigger. And guess what? They boost oxytocin levels, the bonding hormone. It helps you build relationships, trust others, and feel a sense of belonging. Now let's look to the ancient Greeks again, but this time to a different philosopher, Aristotle. He believed that humans are social creatures. He said, man is by nature a political animal. What does that mean? It means we're meant to live with others, to form communities, to be part of something larger than ourselves. Our relationships, according to Aristotle, are not just a dance to life. They are the essence of what it means to be human. And lastly, let's talk about cortisol, the stress hormone. Picture this. You're in the middle of a project, maybe an assignment or a presentation. Your heart's racing. Your palms are sweaty. That's cortisol kicking in. It's your body's way of responding to pressure, to challenges, perceived threats. You see, cortisol gets released when you're stressed, and too much stress for too long can be harmful. It can block the production of other happy hormones like serotonin and oxytocin. Now let's turn to an ancient tradition, Buddhism, more specifically, the teachings of Buddha. About 2,500 years ago, he had some insights into human nature. He taught that clinging to things, wanting things to stay the same, that can cause a lot of our suffering. For example, imagine you're holding on to a project, a deadline, your plans for the future. What if it all goes wrong? That's when you might feel stress, anxiety, maybe even fear. Buddhist teachings offer a different way of looking at it. He suggested that letting go, accepting that things change, that can be a path to inner peace. Now, these philosophies, they offer a guide, a direction. But what does science have to say? Let's take a closer look at the brain chemicals. Dopamine is like the hype man in your brain. It pumps you up, gets you excited. It tells you, go get that new thing, chase that goal, experience that thrill. But then, pretty soon it's gone. You're back to normal. That rush, that excitement, it fades away. Serotonin. On the other hand, it's the stabilizer. It helps you find your balance. It whispers, you got this. You're doing great. Keep going. It's that steady voice that boosts your mood and keeps you motivated without the highs and lows. Then we have oxytocin, the connector. It's like a warm hug from within. It makes you feel bonded, cared for, and part of something bigger. And lastly, cortisol, the protector. It's your alarm sister, always on the lookout, always ready to jump into action when there's a challenge or a threat. It helps you focus and get things done. But too much of it for too long can wear you down. Here's the beauty of it all. Ancient philosophies and modern science. They tell a similar story. They speak the same language, just in different words. For instance, Epicurus talked about how our desire for more, our constant wanting, that's what truly makes us unhappy. Science agrees. It's that whole concept of hedonic adaptation. You get used to the pleasure. You need more and more to feel the same high. Then there's Aristotle. He saw happiness in living a life of virtue, of being a good person. Science backs him up. Serotonin, that feel-good hormone. It rises when you do things that align with your values. It's that sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing you did the right thing. And Buddha's lessons about letting go, about accepting change, that's echoed in our biology too. Too much attachment, too much cortisol can harm your happiness. Learning to relax, to breathe, to detach, that's the path to managing stress. Happiness, my friends, it's not a matter of luck. It's a skill, a practice, a choice. It's a blend of brain chemistry and life wisdom. You can nurture your brain's feel-good chemicals by understanding your emotions, by practicing gratitude, by building strong connections, and by finding joy in everyday moments. And you can embrace the wisdom of philosophies that have stood the test of time. They offer practices, mindsets, and stories that can guide you toward a more meaningful and joyful life. It's a journey, a dance between your brain and your soul, guided by the rhythm of life itself. As you explore this path, remember, you are the author of your own story. You get to write the next chapter, filled with understanding, balance, connection, and peace. I'd love to hear from you. How do you find happiness in your life? What helps you feel good both in your mind and in your heart? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Life is hard. There are problems to solve, bills to pay, and people to please. And there are days when you just want to throw in the towel and give up. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be this way. Life is like a roller coaster, full of ups and downs. But it's up to us to choose where we focus our attention. We can choose to dwell on the negative, or we can choose to focus on the positive. So today we will look at 4 things that will make you feel better instantly. First, directive. Choose simplicity. Have you ever felt like you were on a never-ending quest for the next big thing? Like you're constantly chasing after the next hit of excitement or pleasure, but nothing ever really satisfies you for long. You might find yourself scrolling through social media feeds, constantly seeking out new experiences or filling your life with material possessions in an attempt to fill the void. But in the end, all of this leaves you feeling empty and unfulfilled. It's like trying to quench your thirst with a sip of water from a fire hose. The water may feel refreshing on your lips, but it doesn't satisfy your body's need for hydration. Instead of finding lasting happiness and fulfillment, you're stuck in a cycle of constant craving and dissatisfaction. So break free from this cycle by embracing simplicity. It's not about denying yourself all pleasures or challenges. It's about finding joy in the simple things in life and appreciating the present moment. When you do, you'll experience true satisfaction and fulfillment that doesn't come from chasing the next high. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter responsible for the feeling of pleasure and reward in our brains. It plays a significant role in addiction because it creates a strong desire for the things that give us pleasure. When we engage in addictive behaviors such as drug use, gambling, or social media consumption, our brain receives a surge of dopamine, which reinforces the behavior and makes us crave it more. However, when we choose to live a simple life, we reduce our exposure to these addictive stimuli and train our brains to find pleasure in everyday activities. This rewiring of our brains allows us to experience a deeper sense of satisfaction and fulfillment without the constant craving and dissatisfaction that comes from chasing dopamine highs. This means that instead of getting caught up in the rat race and trying to acquire more and more, we can learn to appreciate what we already have and find joy in the simple things in life. We can take the time to savor a cup of coffee, enjoy a walk in the park, or connect with loved ones. These simple pleasures can bring us lasting happiness without the negative side effects of addiction. In fact, research has shown that people who live a minimalist lifestyle and focus on experiences rather than material possessions, tend to report higher levels of happiness and well-being. By embracing simplicity, we can free ourselves from the shackles of constant craving and start living a life that is more fulfilling and joyful. Second directive: live in line with your values. Imagine living a life where every decision you make aligns with your deepest held beliefs and principles. That's what it means to live in line with your values. When you do this, you experience a sense of inner peace and contentment that comes from knowing that you're being true to yourself. On the other hand, when you compromise your values to please others or pursue short-term gains, you'll likely feel a sense of guilt, shame, or regret. This internal conflict can cause stress and anxiety, which can negatively impact your mental health and well-being. Living in line with your values is key to unlocking lasting serotonin. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter responsible for feelings of happiness, well-being, and contentment. When we live according to our values, we engage in activities that increase serotonin production, such as helping others, pursuing meaningful goals, and building strong relationships. These activities provide a sense of purpose and direction in life, which contributes to our overall happiness. But how do you actually put this into practice? Well, start by identifying your core values. What do you believe in? What's important to you? Once you have a clear understanding of your values, make a conscious effort to align your actions with them. This might mean saying no to certain opportunities or making changes in your current situation. It won't be easy, but the rewards will be worth it. By living in line with your values, you'll experience a deep sense of inner peace and contentment that will improve your mental health and overall well-being. You'll also be better equipped to handle any challenges that come your way with confidence and resilience. Third directive: nurture real connections. Have you ever felt so lonely that you could cry even though you were surrounded by people? We all need people in our lives who we can turn to for support, understanding, and companionship. Human beings are social creatures by nature, and forming connections with others is essential to our survival. When we nurture real connections with friends and family, we raise our oxytocin levels, which is the hormone responsible for feelings of love, trust, and bonding. This can help us cope with stress, reduce feelings of loneliness, and improve our overall well-being. Imagine sitting in a quiet room, sipping a warm beverage as you reminisce about your favorite memories with your closest friends. The warmth of their smiles and the sound of their laughter echo in your mind, bringing a sense of comfort and joy to your heart. These connections are invaluable, providing a solid foundation of support that you can rely on during tough times. They also enrich our lives with love, laughter, and a sense of belonging. Having someone to share our joys and sorrows with can make all the difference in how we perceive and experience life. Moreover, nurturing real connections with others can have a ripple effect on our mental health. When we feel connected to others, we're less likely to suffer from feelings of isolation, loneliness, and depression. The sense of community and belonging that comes from having a strong social network can help us cope with stress and adversity in a healthy way. It also gives us a sense of purpose and meaning in life. We know that we're not alone in this world, and that we have people who care about us and want to help us. Ultimately, the benefits of nurturing real connections with others are endless. It's an investment in our mental health, happiness, and overall well-being. So make an effort to stay in touch with your loved ones. Make new friends and build a strong social network. You won't regret it. Fourth directive: release what you cannot control. Life is full of uncertainties, and there are many things that are beyond our control. When we try to hold on to these things, we only cause ourselves unnecessary stress and anxiety. The best way to deal with this is to learn to let go of the things that we cannot change. When we release what we cannot control, we lower our cortisol levels. Cortisol is the stress hormone that can wreak havoc on our mental health if left unchecked. By letting go of the things that are beyond our control, we reduce the amount of stress in our lives and create space for more positive emotions such as peace, joy, and contentment. Imagine standing on the shore of a calm ocean, watching the waves crash against the sand. As you feel the gentle breeze on your skin and hear the soothing sound of the seagulls overhead, you realize that some things in life are simply beyond your control, just like the waves crashing on the shore. There are moments when you have to surrender to the natural rhythms of life and let go of your struggle. It's in these moments of stillness and acceptance that you find true peace. Releasing what you cannot control doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means accepting the reality of the situation and focusing your energy on what you can change. When you do this, you'll find that you have more control over your emotions and reactions, which will improve your mental health and overall well-being. Protect your natural rhythm. Our natural rhythm is like the gentle rocking of a cradle, soothing and comforting. It's the innate biological pattern that regulates our sleep, metabolism, hormones, and energy levels. It's what allows us to feel rested and rejuvenated, ready to take on the day with a sense of vigor and vitality. However, in today's fast-paced world, it can be easy to disrupt this natural rhythm. The demands of work, social life, and technology can often cause us to stay up late, skip meals, and forgo rest. But doing so can have negative consequences for our mental health. When we disrupt our natural rhythm, we interfere with the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates our sleep-wake cycle. This can lead to insomnia, mood swings, decreased energy levels, and difficulty concentrating. It's like trying to run a car without oil. The engine may sputter and eventually break down. Similarly, when we ignore our natural rhythms, our bodies and minds become unbalanced, leading to diminished mental health. To protect your natural rhythm, it's crucial to prioritize sleep, pacing yourself throughout the day and taking breaks when needed. This means going to bed and waking up at regular times, eating balanced meals, and taking time to relax and recharge. When you do this, you'll notice an improvement in your mental health, energy levels, and overall well-being. You'll be able to tackle each day with a renewed sense of vigor and vitality. In conclusion, life is a roller coaster, but it's up to us to decide where we focus our attention. We can choose to dwell on the negative, or we can choose to focus on the positive. So, embrace simplicity, live in line with your values, nurture real connections, and protect your natural rhythm. By doing so, you'll feel better instantly and create a life that is more fulfilling and joyful. If you'd like to keep exploring these timeless wisdom and its modern applications, stay tuned for more content. Until next time.